Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin's recent statement at an MIPP event. He said that I'm a Malay Malaysian, but my thinking has never been to see myself as only Malay. I have to consider the Chinese, Indians and others because I'm a leader of Malaysia. I used to say I was Malay first. That is no longer important. I'm a Malay who cares for all Malaysians. I was taken aback by this statement, and I thought it was a very positive move by Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin, which signalled perhaps a new direction that Perikatan Nasional will be taking as we approach GE16. Perhaps this was the sign of the start of a more progressive, inclusive version of Perikatan Nasional as opposed to versions that we have seen before. Now, his statement was also echoed by the deputy of Perikatan Nasional, which is Datuk Sri Hamzah, who I had the pleasure of interviewing very recently, whereby in that very interview, he echoed what Tan Sri Muhyiddin was saying, and he said that he is a leader for all Malaysians. He urged the attendees of that event to basically not think of their own community, but think of Malaysians as a whole. His thesis was one leader for all Malaysians. If we look at PN's previous strategy, if it were something of the past, is that they had a very ultra-Malay focus, which unfortunately in recent by-elections, especially Ai Kuning, has not translated into ground support. Ai Kuning, PN lost to PSM in 3 polling stations, which says a lot about their appeal to Malay voters, even in a constituency that is a rural one and has 60% Malay voters. Now, despite the statement of PN's top leaders such as Datuk Sri Hamzah and Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin, it is still very difficult to put your finger on what are Perikatan Nasional's true convictions. Now, if you look at other word statements that have come out of Perikatan Nasional, for instance, Tun Mahathir's recent statement reminding Malays that non-Malays should not be allowed to take power in Malaysia was a shocking one. Another one, of course, at Ai Kuning was Hadi Awang, past leader, who said that God forbid non-Muslims from ruling over Muslims. Now, these two statements that were very recent does bring into the question the true convictions of Perikatan Nasional. Are they truly multicultural as they now want to portray, or is this all merely an attempt to appeal to the non-Malay voter base? Most recently in Parliament, there was another such example of this disjointed messaging that is coming out of the Perikatan Nasional bloc. Now, in a special seating at Parliament discussing the tariffs, YB Dato' Indra Muhammad Shah bin Abdullah, or YB Paya Besar, a Barisan Nasional MP, was talking about his views on the trade tariffs on Malaysia by the US, and in his speech, he was highlighting a lot of interesting points, talking about trade diversification, exploring new markets to export to, the need for more current statistics to be published in order for local businesses to adapt to, and also asking for more allocations from MITI to assist them in exploring newer markets. His speech was then interrupted by YB Datuk Sri Saifuddin bin Abdullah, or YB Indra Makotha, a PN MP, who then went on to ask that since one of the demands of the US to Malaysia in their ongoing tariff negotiations was the halal certification, or basically in more detail, one of the demands that were put by the US to the Malaysia was to quicken the process to acquire halal certification because it was one of the certifications that took longer than the others. He then went on to ask, what would the allocations to JAKIM be? Now, this question truly shocked me as I was very intrigued by this special parliamentary sitting. I was really in tune at what they were discussing because it was more on economic, more on macro terms, which involves all of us. And the tariffs that, if were to be imposed on Malaysia, would impact us as a country, not just one community. Now, this question definitely shocked me because here was a BN MP, BN of all coalitions, talking about global matters. And yet again, it seems that the PN bloc can't resist to pull the conversation back to their comfort zone, which is racial and religious issues. What was even more startling was the reply from the Barisan Nasional MP himself, who said that while he did agree on the request from the PN MP to increase or to allocate more to JAKIM, he said that we cannot use a one ministry approach to solve this problem, and instead we need to go with a whole nation, whole government approach, considering the complexity of the problem at hand. Now, it is this statement from time to time that confuses the electorate and also questions the sincerity of people such as Tan Sri Muhyiddin as well as Dato Sri Hamza when they utter such statements that showcase that they want to be a leader for all Malaysians. So my question to Perikatan Nasional is this: what should we believe? Should we believe the version of you that we have grown accustomed to in the past years, where you only resorted to ultra-conservative rhetoric that honestly has been quite damaging for the country, has caused a lot of polarity in our society? Or should we now forget that and accept this new version of you? The question is up to you to answer.